file that I'd like to show you today actually will get an image that looks something like this when we're done. I'll just make that nice and big. Um, it's actually a compilation of 12 different and separate pictures. So let's get into this. Now the first thing that we have to do is we have to look and say, okay, this is going to be my main image. So I click up here and I drag this into that image, get rid of it, drag, get rid of it, drag, and I do this until all of my images are into one document and they're all layered. Okay, just keep going here. Get this done. Yeah, this is the tedious part of it, that's for sure. Actually, I would say the whole thing has some tedious components to it, but the great thing is when you're done, you've created quite the image. Okay, so I'm going to hit F on the keyboard, hit it again, so I'm full screen. Now, I'm going to take the background layer and I'm going to double click it. And the reason I'm going to do that, watch the lock that's on the layer where it says background disappears. So now it's movable up into all parts of the layer stack. So what I'd like you to notice here is I've highlighted, I held the shift key down. Okay, push the top one, I'll hold the shift key, select layer 0 so all layers are selected. Then I'll go up to edit, auto align the layers, and hit OK. Now, I like letting the program auto align. It seems to do a pretty good job. If I just wanted it to move images, sometimes I find that it doesn't put them in the right spot. The the auto align does perspective as well as fixing the image for distortion. So if you've shot at different angles, it's adjusted each layer for that. Also, this file size is pretty small. The layers that we've been working with here, each one I've reduced down to about 450K. Originally, each of these images, the final image, was worked on at about 47 megabytes for each layer. So it was about a 500 megabyte file that I started working with. Now, that final image, what makes it for me is just the intense emotion that I can gain from looking at it and saying, here's a private moment that this boy is having by looking back at all of these birds. Now, there were a lot of birds in the sky, but we definitely made more. And in making more birds, I believe we added to the image rather than take away. And do I think that I've reduced the quality of the image by adjusting how many birds are there, like it's almost unrealistic? Well, no, and the reality is the goal for me as a photographer here is to evoke an emotion from the audience as they look at that image. Now, I'm not going to go through each layer here to show you what's happened. Now, it's done a pretty good job. The blending, of course, is pretty suspect, and we have to decide which image it is that we want to be our base. Now, I like that one. I like that one. I like this one. I like this one. Now this is going to be my base image, layer 3. I really like the way, I'll just zoom in, I'll hit the Command or Control spacebar and zoom in. And remember, it's low quality on this one, but I really like the way the boy is looking back and his parents are just walking. So this is going to be my base image. So what I'll do is I'll drag that to the bottom, and that is the image that I know is my base. Okay, now I'll select the next layer up, and I'm going to put a mask on it. Now, I'm going to hit X and D. Oh, X and D. And I'm going to make sure that I'm painting with black. So black is your foreground color. Now, spacebar, I'm going to come over here, Command spacebar, and I'm going to zoom in. What I'm going to do is, now this may seem odd. Oh, I have to be on the brush tool. This may seem odd. Left bracket key, reduce the size of that brush. But I'm going to paint out. I got to be on 100%. I'm going to paint out all the birds that I want. And you'll see why I do this in just a moment. So Control 0, come back up here, Okay, paint out this bird. Oh, X gets me back to white. X back to black. Get the file size a little smaller. There it is. Okay, make my brush a little bit bigger. Paint out this bird. Control 0. Okay, there's some birds up here that I'll paint out. You must be thinking, well, why am I painting out birds if I actually want to put the birds in? Precisely. Think about that for a second. Okay, that should be long enough. Now I come back here and I can't just go select inverse. So on your keyboard, Command or Control I, boom. Now, just that alone, take a look at the before and after so far, putting the birds in. Okay, so now we've got another picture here where we're going to do the same thing. And sometimes I find it a little more difficult as I move on in the layers. It's like, okay, where were there birds? Where were there no birds? Okay, there's a bird up here.